Should I log in as Jenkins?
I'm not sure. I've definitely logged in as Jenkins. Anyway, we are live now. So yeah, welcome to the regular Q&A session for Google Summer of Code students in the Jenkins project. Apparently today is the last Q&A session for students in the Americas time zone, unless we agree that we schedule another one. So the application deadline is April 9th. It's the next Tuesday. If somebody is interested, we can have another meeting next Monday, maybe just in the chat. So yeah, if you want to do so, we will just get it organized. But yeah, it's generally on-demand meeting. So yeah, that's it from me. No specific introductions or status updates I think needed for this meeting. So we can just proceed with questions. So yeah, if any of students has questions related to the GSoC process, etc., let's start from there. And if we have time, we will switch to the project-specific questions. Okay. So does anyone have questions about the process? Deadlines, so any organizational questions, whatever.
Well, can I just share my screen? I'm gonna just share my screen and ask just one question about the external workspace manager.
Yeah, it's definitely a project-related question, but yeah.
Yes.
If there is no process questions, let's just take a look at what we have in projects.
Okay, so I'm gonna share project-specific questions. So, so here and in this, I want to. There is a working flow I just come up with. It's like first there is an disk pool ID, and then I'm going to detect this disk pool ID to decide whether it is EFS or not, whether it is predefined. And then when I find it is predefined, I need to check whether this instance is launched on EC2, because with not on EC2, you cannot use EFS, right? And then after I do all these checks, then I'm going to configure it to this slave on demand. That is, when every step were executed, I'm going to monitor on it. Is this working flow right?
Looks so.
What?
I think what you explain is what we actually expect. So what was the reason of my comment? That yeah, there are two ways of implementing the plugin. One way is when you pre-mount EFS, and as it was mentioned somewhere above, below there's some features in this plugin. We should do that. But there is another way to spin this story, where you do EFS mapping on demand. So for example, you execute pipeline, and then you need more space. And at this point, you request a new workspace to be provisioned. And Jenkins does workspace provisioning and then performs mapping of the workspace. So in such case, it would be closer to what we have in the plugin, for example, for common workspaces.
Okay, I think that makes sense to me, and I think that is more doable and more clear, because so actually, you know, I just found this clear goal of this project. That's good. Thanks, Thanks, Martin. I'm done with my share. Wait a minute. How to stop?
Yeah, I can stop it.
Okay, here.
Okay, done. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? You may also hit the participant limit. If somebody thinks in GSoC Jitter, we might need to rotate. Okay. Any other questions? We have so many people on the call, so there should be something. Right. Yeah, hi.
I had a question, a couple of questions about my proposal. I'm sorry I can't share my screen right now. I'm on my mobile.
It would be nice if you adjust the sound settings, because you're so silent now.
Hello?
Oh yeah, now it's better.
Yeah, so I had a couple of questions about my proposal.
Okay.
I'm sorry I cannot share my screen right now. I'm not on my laptop.
Yeah, I can share it for you if you want.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, so the first question was, you had asked how would I start Jenkins from the jar file.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. I'm looking for your project proposal. Just a second. Yeah, it's here. So you're talking about just a second. Let's just search for the here. So yeah, you see benchmarks jar file. So the tricky thing about Jenkins, that Jenkins itself is a runtime service. So you cannot just take its classes and perform common unit testing. It requires to have some context. For example, what we do in Jenkins test harness, we have a Jenkins rule, which actually spins up Jenkins as a part of unit test. Yeah, here's this Jenkins rule. So you can actually use it as an illustration.
Yeah, I did suggest that. I just wanted to ask if that is good enough.
Well, will it work with the micro benchmark framework you selected?
Could you please repeat your question?
Yeah, will it work with the micro benchmark framework you selected? I received an help from somebody.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to get you.
Yeah, so there is an echo coming from your side. So that's why it's so difficult to understand, I believe. Okay, just a second. Okay, now you're muted, so I can just answer, I believe. Okay, so yeah, my question was about it's another proposal. Yeah, so here you have benchmarks jar. So when you execute these benchmarks using Java micro benchmark framework, if you want to use Jenkins rule, firstly you need to ensure that it's actually possible, because the Jenkins rule is designed specifically for JUnit. So this test rule is compatible with JUnit, but I'm not sure that the JMH can actually use JUnit rules as a part of the execution. So if you want to use Jenkins rule, it's something you need to check.
Yeah, I've already tested that. It does not seem to work because possibly when we run a JMH test, it forks into new Java virtual machines. So we cannot run an instance which was originally used.
Yeah, right. So you would either need to somehow work around it, because yeah, Jenkins rule, there is no magic inside. If you take a look at the code.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, would it be possible during the project to use something like like the method used by a Jenkins test harness?
Well,
We
if
could.
if you get it working, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so Jenkins rule, there is no magic there. You can probably copy this code and make it running as a part of GMH. which may
Yeah,
be
because
actually useful to have it as a separate library so that it can be reused by others. But
okay,
yeah.
because I had already tested that when the setup codes for when the setup methods for JMH run, they run in the same process. So I think we'll be able to get it to work.
Okay. So yeah, if you do that, it will be definitely useful, and you can probably do it as a separate library so that it can be reused by other projects which need to perform performance testing.
Okay, so I'll add that to my proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And another question is, you had asked about moving the documentation from the wiki to GitHub.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So is there any benefit of doing so?
Well, firstly, documentation is code, because when the documentation is located in GitHub, then you can patch documentation in parallel with code. So, for example, you propose a pull request with new feature, and right in this pull request, you write a documentation. So you merge documentation and the feature at once. It's one of the benefits of such approach.
Okay.
Yeah, whether it's better than wiki for users, it's debatable. So if you just want to create documentation, of course, you can keep it on the wiki. But yeah, in recent plugins, we mostly use GitHub for documentation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my advice, if you want to create a chunk of new documentation, then yeah, better to use GitHub. You can write documentation in ASCII doc, in Markdown, so in something standard. Unfortunately, the Confluence format, well, it's used only in Confluence, I believe, but yeah, Markdown and ASCII doc are much more preferable from project standpoint, because at some point we can read the docs, for example, for this plugin if we need, or do something like that. Does it make sense? For example, yeah, I'll take probably not the live plugin, but this plugin has some documentation hosted in GitHub. So yeah, you can just, well, generally you can just copy it and have everything here, or you can create multi-page documentation if needed. So in this case, it's your decision. So if you want to keep documentation in wiki, just do that. If you want to migrate it, yeah, it's probably a good deliverable for the project, though yeah, obviously it's not a coding per se.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to other question. Is if there is nothing left, so that yeah, we can discuss more question, and if you have any other projects, questions specifically to role strategy, we will return to them. Okay. So Alex, Jack, do you have any questions?
Oh yeah, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I ask in chat, but what's from your experience? What's the best lens for draft, for this kind of draft, for this Google draft? Because I could add additional steps and make appendix, but I don't know. Should I? Or should it be like short and then it could be developed?
Yeah. So there are two approaches being used by students. One approach is to have a good project proposal. I mean, keep it short so that everybody understands what you want to do. And then describe on the top level things like what would be deliverables, what would be the benefits for the community, what would be the timeline. So the sections which are actually expected in Google Summer of Code documentation. This is one of the approaches which is widely used. Another approach is to actually use project proposals as a kind of mini design where you document everything you want to do at the level of utilization you can achieve during the application phase. Both approaches are fine. So whatever is preferable for you. Our expectation is that you have basic information. So it can be done in 3 or 4 pages, maybe even less. So you can start from there. If you want to add details like a mini design, like some research summaries, etc. If you perform such research, it makes sense to put it to the proposal because at some point it will be used to do the design for your project. What we do in Jenkins, we usually use community bonding in order to do a kind of mini design together with mentors so that your proposal has some reality mapping and that we also create a list of tasks, at least for the first coding phase. So when the coding period starts, you really can start coding. This is our objective for community bonding. So yeah, if you have time now, if you want to expand your proposal and to put some design ideas, etc., it definitely won't hurt. But yeah, if you just create a short proposal with 3 or 4 pages with all summaries, etc., yeah, it's also okay.
Okay, I think I focus on short at first.
Okay.
Maybe align some aims, some deliverables, because starting digging deeply,
Yeah.
I understand there is some. It could be additional. It could take additional time.
Yeah, right. So summary deliverables is what we expect to be well written. Regarding design, regarding project ideas, if it's a brain dump, it's perfectly fine. But yeah, well, if you focus on the first part, and then if you have time, do something for the second, this approach I would recommend as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, do we have other topics?
Just a small.
Yeah.
Do we need to provide any more contact information because Google's guidelines suggest us to provide the address and telephone numbers? Is it necessary to provide them?
It's not necessary to provide them in Google Doc. So what we really need from you, we need email. But again, email, if you join the GSoC public mailing list, that means you can receive emails from there. So in your application, it's not necessary to specify any contacts maybe except GitHub ID or Jenkins Jitter username if you have it. All other contacts are up to you. So if you're not comfortable about keeping these contacts, just remove them. If you want to provide them due to whatever reason, it's also perfectly fine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to clarify, Oleg, in the official application on the Google website, you need to provide everything they ask, but as far as the student proposal is concerned, it's what Oleg said.
Yeah, thanks for clarification. So be sure we won't be using your email to send spam. We won't be using your phone number unless there is emergency. So sometimes it happens, but yeah, even if there is emergency, we can contact the GSoC support. Because, well, it may happen, for example, if Jenkins project contacts your trip to Jenkins World and, for example, something goes wrong, then yeah, this phone number may be used, but in such case, mentors will just coordinate with you before your trip. So yeah, no need to put these contacts.
Okay.
I have a question. What will be the schedule for like these Hangouts meetings when community bonding phase? So it will be the same, like once a week, and then on the coding phase.
Yeah. So what we expect to happen during the community bonding phase? Firstly, all projects will have their separate meetings with mentors and with students, and it will be the base meeting for you as a student. Then we will have a weekly GSoC meeting like we have now. It will be kind of office hours for Q&A, for status discussions, etc. So it will be an optional meeting. It won't be required to join it every time, similarly to these Q&A sessions. And in addition to that, there are also special interest group meetings. So you may have seen that some projects, they're linked to special interest groups or to sub-projects in Jenkins. And some of these entities also have meetings. So usually it's something like a meeting once per 2 weeks or so. And yeah, these meetings is something we would really recommend you to follow, because these meetings just a pool of stakeholders for your project. When you need a review, when you need feedback, when you want to demo something. So going to these special interest group meetings is something we would advise. But yeah, again, the main meeting for projects is a kind of sync up with mentors. We usually recommend to have at least one meeting per week. In many cases, it's 2 meetings per week. And yeah, it will be the main meeting for communications.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we think that you will be able to discuss the time with mentors, so that all of you will be able to find a comfortable time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You don't look very happy about it.
No, I'm happy. It's okay. I just I had a huge problem with this Google Hangout. It's not supported in my tiny laptop. So
well, and good news that if you and mentors want to switch to another communication way, it's also possible.
okay.
Yeah, if you all decide that you do a meeting, for example, in Zoom or whatever, yeah, please feel free to do that. And actually, there is a wider discussion about Google Hangouts on the Jenkins organization level, because yeah, we have a limit of 10 participants on the call, which is not enough for many meetings. And there are discussions about moving to other platform, but we wait till Continuous Delivery Foundation is fully formed to have a discussion on the CDF level. So Jenkins project now transitions with one umbrella organization from one umbrella organization to another one, and hopefully we will be able to use meeting platform of Linux Foundation once everything is established.
Actually, I just think that I have another question about evaluation process on the phase. So it will be evaluated by mentors, or there will be some additional people who will be involved at this phase, and we will have some wide meeting with several with presentation and with outcomes, deliverables, and so on.
Yeah. So what our plan says that after each coding phase, there will be a public presentation performed by all students. So this public presentation would be one of the ways to showcase your project and show the progress. And yeah, this presentation will be a part of the evaluation. Generally, mentors are the ones who do the final decision, but there are also stakeholders. For example, I mentioned special interest groups, and these groups, they meet regularly. There will be some stakeholders, and you can use them as additional source of feedback. And of course, mentors also may use these groups as additional source of feedback if they want.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. GSoC program itself heavily relies on mentors to make the decision. As org admins, yeah, we have a way to also make a decision if something goes wrong, but yeah, hopefully we won't need that. Okay.
So as okay, maybe next question.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
As I understand, for there is a Jira which I already signed up, and so the work will be like inside Jira on the project, or it will be something different. What will be the workflow for the proposed features and improvements?
Yeah, it depends on the project. So yeah, Jenkins project has Jira, and Jira is the de facto standard for the most of the Jenkins components. But some components opted out to GitHub issues, for example. And yeah, if you work on a component which prefers GitHub issues, then yeah, it may be there. But yeah, usually it's around Jira, but Jira is used mostly for tracking feature requests, etc. So nobody is going to do micromanagement via Jira. So we don't do time tracking. We don't do all other crappy things, which you can probably do in Jira. So for us, it's generally a backlog and some kind of tracker.
Okay, so basically I could break down my timeline and put some task into Jira and work sequentially on them.
Yeah, right. So usually it's what we do during the community bonding. So we have meetings with students, so we make decisions what we really implement, because yeah, sometimes mentors want to change the project a bit, for example, to make it closer to the Jenkins community needs, or to just adjust the timeline and to make it more feasible. And then after such discussions, yes, a number of tickets is being created in Jenkins Jira, and then you can use it as a backlog. So no need to create tickets right now, unless you really want to request a feature, even if you don't plan to work on this project. But yeah, during community bonding, it will happen anyway.
Okay. I also quickly look through the previous year project, and yeah, it's quite impressive. And the question is this, I don't remember the name, girl still continue to work on her proposed feature, or is it like finished from 2018?
From 2018?
Yeah, there is a presentation on Jenkins site. I don't remember some plugin.
If you clarify what is this project about, maybe I will be able to navigate it. Because yeah, right now I do not understand which project you mean.
I just forget. Okay, no problem.
I
will send you a link later. Yeah, in more details.
Yeah, curious think that this year all former successful GSoC students participate as mentors. So, for example, we have Alex on the call. He was a GSoC student in 2016. Other students, Xin Yu and Wu Tuan, they also participate as mentors this year.
So new roles. I also have some question. I like advertise the program to my fellow students, and yeah, maybe it's particular question to you, Oleg. If there will be possibility like another student to take part on on that part which I am proposed to, what do you think? It will be okay? I mean, not the copy of my proposal, but like additional features with login or something else. Is it?
Yeah. So what is the requirement of GSoC? That there may be project applications and projects which have some relation to each other. But the main requirement is that each project can be evaluated separately, and that each project can be successful separately, even if something goes wrong with its counterpart. So if you create proposals which can coexist with each other, it's perfectly fine. We will still need to find mentors on our side, so we cannot really guarantee anything that both projects will be selected. But if the project applications are independent enough, it may be possible.
Okay. I will tell my fellow students about this.
Okay. Google Summer of Code is mostly about working in open source communities. So any kinds of collaboration, they're perfectly fine.
Okay.
Martin, I have to drop in a few minutes, but yeah. Do we have any questions left?
I'm done for now.
Okay. So thank you, and don't hesitate to ask questions in a Jitter chat if you have something specific to discuss, because mailing lists and Jitter chats are the main communication channels, and this is just a way to have sync-ups when needed.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so any other questions? Yep.
I can take over, Oleg. I'm not logged in as Jenkins, so I will not be able to terminate the broadcast, but I can log in as Jenkins if that helps.
Well, if we have no questions left, maybe we could just close down the broadcast.
Okay, and take the remaining questions on in the chat room.
It doesn't seem we have remaining questions. That's everything.
Okay, I meant additional.
Okay, so if there is nothing clear to discuss, thanks everybody, and see you in the chat.
Bye.
Okay.
Thanks for your questions.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have a nice day.
Bye-bye.